All right, are we live?
Let's see. Um, it had the cute girls doing apocalypse things.
I don't know why it says that.
Those, yeah, that says live now. I guess we have to change the title.
Do I do that or do you do that?
I can do that. Let
Okay,
me,
why don't you do that for me?
yeah, let me try and get on that.
Okay.
What should we change the title to?
Just our anime podcast radio recommendations.
What do I do? How do I do live? Okay,
All right, all right.
one sec.
The display isn't showing Discord. Why would that be? Hmm. That's a great question.
Hmm.
This is a new problem that we've never had before. In all of the times I've tried using this program.
It looks kind of cool because it looks kind of like a conspiracy theory, like Illuminati
Yep.
triangle, but I don't think that was intended.
Filters? Is this what we want? No. Window capture. Select option. Aha. There we are. There we go.
Ooh.
Figured it out. All right. So, we're on the internet.
We stormed the internet.
Yeah. Hello, internet. We're here. And today, we're trying something new that we have never done before on this podcast. We are going to do a live show with unscripted guests. We asked people a couple days ago for some shows that they would like to shill, and we are giving a platform to our fans to drop their hot takes on our heads. We'll see how this goes. I hope it will go well and that nobody will embarrass themselves live on the internet and never be able to live it down. But on the other hand, that would be kind of exciting if it did. So,
It's what we live for.
this, of course, is brought to you by our friends at High Dive and Sentai Filmworks. They are the best around in all ways and at all times, but especially now. High Dive is giving everybody in the world, not just from our streams and our fans and everything, free signups for their service to encourage people to stay at home and not go outside and die. So High Dive is literally saving your life.
True high dive homies till the end.
That's right. And Sentai is the foremost licensing company in North America. They're the ones responsible for getting anime into the West so that we all can see it. It's because of people like them, we are no longer in the dark ages of the 90s when the only way you could watch anime was a couple of bootleg DVDs that you found out behind the gas station. So we owe lots to people like them. This is completely off topic, but something that I think about from time to time is like there must be so many shows from like pre 15 to 20 years ago that existed and then were just completely lost to time, at least in the West, because they were never licensed and nobody remembers them. And I think that era is well behind us now. Now that there are big companies that like sub and release and stream just about every show, not just relying on like which ones fan subbers decide to pick up. Everything is available to us. The world is at our fingertips. And with so much anime to watch, we need some help figuring out what we should watch. So on that note, why don't we bring on our first guest? Who do we got?
We have Theleux, who will be joining us to talk about his recommendation. He has told us ahead of time, but I'm excited to see what he has to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, Theleux. You are live with us, actually live. You know, we're doing it live, and we are live right now. So, thank you for joining us.
Live.
I'm glad you invited me.
Yeah. So, what show do you have for us?
All right. So I suggested Lupin the Third,
Oh, fuck yeah.
The woman called Fujiko Mine. So
All right.
the gist of the show is that it's kind of a spin-off of the classic Loop in the third series, but focuses more on Fujiko Mine, or Fujiko Mine, however you want to say it. So it's kind of got this. You can go into it without having to have any previous knowledge of the series, but you can also, watch like the old Miyazaki film of it before, because it's kind of just like a basic entry into the show.
Mm-hmm. Which is on Netflix, I believe.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So it covers
all
the
of Lupin
characters
is on
that you need
Netflix.
to know.
No, at least just the first movie. The
okay.
Miyazaki film.
Yeah, Castle. Yeah. So every episode is kind of episodic and introduces the characters, and then after the midway point is where it starts getting into more focus on Fujiko. But they're all about thievery and trying to either kidnap something or change something. It's nice because it's not like you don't get stuck with like a basic plot line. There's no overarching plot or anything. There is a little bit at the end, which kind of ends satisfying, I guess. But it's just a fun ride. You've got the comedy, you've got the action. The whole aesthetic of the show is fantastic. It's got this really nice, heavy shading.
I've seen clips from it. It's a really bizarre, unique style.
Yeah,
it's very
really,
cool.
really appealing, especially compared to. I'm pretty sure the part 4 of Lupin has the same aesthetic, but it's very appealing. That's kind of what got me into the show when I saw a couple clips of it.
I was actually just talking about a woman called Fujiko Mine a couple of days ago. So my best friend is a long time big Lupin fan. And she was mentioning this one, which is this weird prequel spin-off where, like, instead of being super... Because it's normally like a cartoony, like, heist criminal kind of show, right? It's, like, very tongue-in-cheek at all times, like, mostly episodic. Master Thief runs away from the same one policeman every episode. And then you have Woman Called Fujiko Mine, which is this gritty prequel spin-off with like a plot about like cloning, I think.
There's a bit of stuff near the end. It all plays in. So the general gist of it is it does want to focus more on Fujiko.
Yeah.
And you throughout it you start getting these little clips of this weird they kind of play this weird cryptic music, and you see all these flashbacks and you're like, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
So you start learning more and more about her past up until the climax of the show. And it's very much focused on the typical like female spy or like agent, where it's like they use any assets they have, even their body, to get what they want.
Yeah, there's like mad titties in this show, right?
Yeah, they don't hold back anything there. But it's not like gratuitous either. It kind of just it works. It's appealing. And,
it just works.
I've heard it compared to Are Cutie Honey, where it very closely toes the line between being like gratuitous and being empowering.
Yeah, a lot of the episodes deal with societal oppression and kind of like limiting expectations of women that they expect. So, I mean, I'm not a woman myself, so I can't really relate fully, but I think it covered that pretty well. And they kind of do this, you've seen some shows where they have the whole damsel in distress thing. They kind of have a situation like that where Fujiko is not really sure about herself and what's going on, but the ending of the show plays it off so well. It makes the whole thing better as a package.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've only seen little bits and pieces of Lupin, but I definitely want to watch more. And I definitely will someday get around to this bit in specific. It's a great series. It's absolute classic.
Yeah, everything before is really great. This is probably my favorite portion of the whole Lupin franchise. It's got 3 sequel films as well, which are all relatively good. Animated really nicely. One of the few things I really like that Mari Okada has done series composition on.
I didn't know Mari
Okada was on it. I don't know if you know Seo Yamamoto, who has done, let me check here. They've done some work on a lot of ending work. for shows, but they directed Yuri on Ice, and they also did. I'm trying to find the name of it here. Michiko to Hatchin, which is another like.
Oh, the director. I forgot her name. I forgot her name. Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, Sayo.
Oh yeah, you got
Yamamoto.
it. Sayo Yamamoto. Yeah.
Very much. Now, Yuri on Ice is not about female empowerment or anything. But,
yeah.
They know the appeal of it and how to play it off really well.
Yeah, one of the few high-profile female directors in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. So
that's cool.
They definitely portrayed it really well. One of those series where every frame is a painting, kind of. It's like you can take a picture of anything and it looks good.
That's a great line. Someone should use that one.
For sure. People have definitely used that way before. But yeah, I definitely recommend it. It's one that I went to not really knowing a lot about Lupin, but sold me on it, and now Fujiko and Lupin are probably my favorite characters. Not of all time, but they're among the tops for me.
That's awesome. Yeah, I have not seen this one myself, but I will second it on principle, because more people need to appreciate Lupin, and more people need to appreciate weirder art, and this is the confluence of the two.
Yeah. And it covers a lot of like interesting topics, just to kind of finish it off. But one of the ones is about Fidel Castro, because it's during the Cold War period. So they kind of do a funny spin on it. But it's interesting. It's a bit more mature than the regular Lupin. So awesome. That's probably why I like it the most.
All right. Thank you so much. So
yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. And
thanks for joining us.
Once again, I will, when I eventually get around to that, I will be sure to hit you up about my thoughts.
Perfect. Let me know when you do.
Cool. Thanks, Theleux.
See ya.
All right.
That's a cool one. I always wanted to watch that one.
Yeah, it's one of the millions of things that's like relatively high on my priority list, but always gets overlooked anyway.
Yeah, it's very much like you hear about it and you're like, oh yeah, I really wanted to watch that, and then you do that 10 more times until you actually finally watch it.
Yeah, exactly.
Show. Yeah.
All right, who's our next guest?
We have Crayons coming back on.
Cool.
And let's see what show he has to recommend. This one's kind of cool because we do have the recommendations, but I genuinely forget what they've posted, so it's kind of experiencing it again for the second time.
Because I'm streaming, I'm not allowed to tab out of this window, so...
Yeah. So
awesome.
Cray actually joined before and I muted him, but now I think he should be unmuted.
Okay. oh, I see he's in the call. Oh, there you are.
Hi.
We got him. Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Yeah, sorry about that.
What's up, Cray? How you doing?
Great. How are you guys?
Doing pretty well. What have you got for us?
Yeah, so today I am here to shill or Uchu Kyodai, for those weebs out there. Space Brothers is a show I have loved forever. It's like actually I think one of the first shows I watched. It is a show about two brothers who go to space.
Nice.
Obviously. So it's kind of a hard sell for a lot of people because it's 99 episodes. It's not crazy animated or anything. It's not that hype, but like as you watch, you just sort of like end up of the characters like really quickly. Like it has some of my favorite characters that I've seen in a show, and I've seen like a good bit after that, and it still holds up. I start to talk about what it's about.
Sure.
So basically it starts off with these two brothers, Hibito, Muta. When they're 10 or 12, they're just hanging out in the woods, doing like whatever you do when you're 10 or 12 in the woods. And a unidentified flying object that just sort of hovers above them and then shoots straight to the moon. They both promise that they're going to become astronauts and they're going to go to the moon together. Or I think actually one of them says they're going to go to the moon and one of them tries to one-up the other and say they're going to go to Mars.
Nice.
But they make that promise. And then after that, it immediately skips, I think like 25 years or something like that. Character, Namba Muta, has gotten fired from his job as a automotive engineer. He's completely given a dream. He like realized it was a dumb kiddie thing, and he's like sort of at a loss in his life right now. And his brother, Hibito, never gave up on his dream, and he's now becoming the first Japanese man on the moon.
Wow.
And so the whole series is about Muta trying to catch up to his brother and trying to get to space, basically.
That is cool.
That sounds really cool. And I always hear about how it's like a very inspirational series.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot about like he starts off very like down on himself, quit from his job. He doesn't really have like much purpose in life. But then this like he starts going back to like this sort of like child passion that he had, and it's like see him like grow up in confidence as you go on. It has like a lot of that great, you know, nostalgic. Like I think we all had like space phase. Like it's like comes right after the dinosaur phase.
Yeah, right.
And it like really captures that sort of one space, I think, really well, and like how using that can sort of, you know, bring back a sort of wonder to your life.
Yeah. So this is I think Space Brothers was one of like the first 5 things that I ever put on my plan to watch after I got like enough actually into anime to start like making a mal and everything. Yes, and I still haven't seen it.
That's a common thing.
Right. And I think part of the reason for that is, like you alluded to, the length, but not just the length, but also that I don't really have any idea of what, you know, the content of the series is for most of its runtime. Like I knew most of what you were saying about the 2 brothers, but I don't know. But that's just like the premise. It doesn't tell much about how the show spends most of its runtime. So can you? Yeah. Is there anything you can say to like walk through that?
It's kind of a hard show to like put in a genre. Like a lot of it is comedy. There's also like a bunch of like drama arcs. I guess like the closest thing would be slice of life, because it kind of just like follows him in his life as he goes through this process. But slice of life kind of implies like no plot.
Yeah.
Like if you didn't have like the sports like genre to like put sports shows in, like you wouldn't really know what genre to put them in. Like
right.
Convenient modifier. It's just like I would say comedy drama maybe.
Okay.
Could you like compare the tone to like another series that focuses on like a workplace setting, or at least like another specific type of, I don't want to say hobby because it's not a hobby if he's making it a career, but you know, like a specific subject matter series?
Kind of, yeah. It is like sort of turns into like more of a workplace comedy, but with more of a like, it's not an episodic show. Like each episode like leads into the next one. But it does like beginning when he's actually going through the process. It's like very reminiscent of like all those astronaut shows you've seen, like, you know, Right Stuff, Apollo 13, that kind of stuff. And then, spoilers, they become astronauts. And then after that,
as one imagines.
Yes, after that, it sort of like just turns into the basically like a workplace comedy / drama.
Okay, so it's not like an Apollo 13 like space disaster sort of deal. It's just about like,
it's not like
life as astronaut.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's like, it's drama in the ideas that like there's one like his good friend gets sick. Like it's that kind of stuff. It's
Got
not
it.
like
very
like,
grounded.
Not like Gravity where they're stuck in space.
Yeah.
And then
I mean there's an arc like that.
Oh wait.
Okay.
Okay, let's go. Time to binge it now. Let's go.
Cool.
And that's a really great arc, but there's more to it. As with 99 episodes, they cover a lot of material.
Yeah, they must.
Which is
Yeah. Wow, that's awesome. I feel like that's one that a lot of people have always heard of, put on the plan to watch, and have never really gotten around to it, even though they should. because
Yeah.
they've been looking forward to it for a while. And it is on Crunchyroll, so pretty
It is.
easily accessible.
It's funny how there just are shows like that like tons of people have the same experience of having wanted to watch it but never gotten around to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guarantee that if you start it, you will want to keep watching it. Like,
Okay.
That's a high sell. I love it.
like, people have time now, so
Nothing.
That's
I
true.
feel like
Perfect
nothing
option.
will make. I feel like I don't know about you guys, but with like quarantine, it's kind of easy no matter where you are to kind of feel claustrophobic. So
Yeah.
I feel like thinking about a series that's in space, it's kind of like the exact opposite of that. So maybe it'll be some nice
Yeah.
escapism to pretend that we actually have space.
yeah,
been
it's definitely like
Maybe a little galaxy brain for me, but if you think that'll work for you, then I encourage you to try it.
But no, I would recommend it in these quarantine times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and no one has any excuses anymore.
No,
So
so you
yeah.
have to watch it, Centers.
I have.
Yeah, I guess so.
literally have to. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have like a sweepstakes or something. Whoever gets me to watch their recommendation out of all of the people we have on tonight will get some sort of prize
I don't
or
like
something.
that
I
idea.
don't know.
No, that's nice. Whoever does the best job of showing their show and makes you pick it up actually wins.
Yeah,
If you've already seen the show, sucks to suck.
right.
Like,
I
the
think
last one-
I only skimmed through most of what people posted in the channel earlier because I wanted to keep it mostly fresh for when people came on. But there are very few of the shows that I saw that I have seen. So
Interesting.
I'm looking forward to
Nice.
this. All right,
Nice. Well,
Cray, thank you so much. Another great recommendation.
Yeah, anytime.
Talk to you
have a
soon.
good one. That's a nice one. I've always wanted to check that one out.
Yeah, me too. As
we
yeah,
noted.
like literally, it was one of the first 5 things to go on my list. Might still be the oldest one that I haven't watched yet.
Wow.
So
Wow. That's interesting. I'm not gonna say it's praise because it's not, but it's pretty historic.
it is. All right. Who is next?
We have Irvom. I asked him how to pronounce his name because it is misleading.
Okay.
But we have him, and he's just joined the call. How you doing? We cannot hear you if you're talking.
Uh-oh.
No.
Uh-oh.
Can we hear you now?
I'm
Hey.
seeing... Oh, there we
Hey,
go.
We can hear
There we
you
go.
now. Nice.
Hey,
Perfection.
nice. How are you guys?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
So, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, keeping in on the topic of working shows,
Okay.
Nice.
the show that I'm talking about is Sakura Quest.
Ooh.
Oh, I have seen this one.
Third in the PA Works like Working Girls kind of series.
Right.
Yeah.
Sakura Quest is one... It came out 2018?
17, I think.
Yeah, I think it was 17.
Jesus Christ.
That's a long
yes.
time.
Sakura Quest, I feel like, gets a weirdly bad rap. Would you agree?
I feel so, yeah. I think like out of the 3 PA Works Working Girl shows, it feels like the one that generally doesn't get talked about.
Yeah. Well, so
What's
hold on.
the-
Obviously,
what's the third one?
Shirobako is the other, but what's the third?
Hanasaka Iroha.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I have
I
not seen
always
that
think
one,
of-
but
I have seen that one. I always think of that one a bit different in high school, and the other 2 I think are post. Well, Shirobako is definitely post high school, but I think the other one is
Yeah.
also. I'm not sure if it's college age or post college. Not really sure.
Well, for Sakura, I think it's straight after college. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
had that great scene that got shumped around in all of the memes from like the first episode where the main character is in like job interviews and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, good scene. But yeah, why don't you tell us something about
What
why you
is
like
Sakura Quest?
Well, like for a quick synopsis, essentially, our main character Yoshino has just come out of college and is looking to get her first job. But unfortunately, she's unable to find anything. And so in almost like a small kind of bout of not desperation, but like just to find something, she gets a call from a modeling job that she did while she was in college, asking her for through another job. She thinks it's just like a one-day thing, so she goes out to do it. She's taken to a small village out in the way, and then asked to be the queen of that village. Unbeknownst to her, she's actually signed on to a year contract where she'd be working with the tourism board to try and revive the town. Where there is quite a bit of like hijinks and stuff that does happen. But there's a lot of personal growth for her and also four other main girls that end up joining her relatively early on in the show. So it's almost a bit of like a small character piece, slice of life kind of thing.
Yeah, it's cool on a lot of levels. I think, I definitely prefer Shirobako to Sakura Quest. I think that Sakura Quest captures a similar sort of element in its entirety that's only more of a background of Shirobako, which is like the early to mid 20s career malaise.
Yeah.
And it also focuses really heavily on the idea of like the small town revitalization project, which is something that I feel like kind of appears in the background of anime pretty frequently, but is like rarely focused on. You know, you'll mention like, oh, there's this like town in the sticks that they're trying to get revitalized, and it'll just be like a background detail. But this is all about that process. And
yeah,
I was pretty skeptical at first about the concept, but it sold me really, really well on why, you know, this like local culture is something worth saving.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's one of those shows where I feel because of the way it tackles its kind of plot, it takes like a really slow approach to it and kind of spaces things out really well. So it allows you to spend a lot of time in that small town and really get a feel for it.
Right.
So that you yourself almost feel like you want the town itself to be revived. Like you're rooting with the girls throughout the run of the show because you've come to love certain parts of it and all like the unique aspects of it that you don't tend to get in city life. That would be a shame to lose, or things that are really brought to the forefront.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and like one thing I also really like about the show is that it's one of those shows that does tackle like a very relatable aspect to many people's lives. Like not only just the transition from finishing college to finding a job, but also just like the overarching feeling of finding a purpose, whether it's just in life or throughout your career or whatever. Because the girls that we meet each have different starting points, and each of those starting points are on varying levels. Like we have someone who's kind of almost a bit of a shut-in from the way that she's kind of grown up and the way that she views the world. You have someone who's managed to succeed a bit and really get into a good position in the acting job industry, but wasn't really able to find what she wanted in it, and so came back. We had someone who's managed to get a good working salary job, but through the monotonous nature of it and the realization that anyone could do it, ended up just deciding to leave because she was putting too much into it and so forth. And so all these girls themselves are trying to find, I guess, their own passion and that drive to want to create stuff, to want to have a job and to look forward each day. And I think it's something that in this time of quarantine is really helpful, being able to have that drive to keep fighting each day, to keep keeping up to the social distancing rules and stuff like that, but also have a chip in your step about things, to not feel down about it all. It's really nice.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a great way of tying it in. We've got nothing but time and no way to escape our thoughts. So, you know, might as well try your best to do something productive with them. And this is the kind of subject that can help you get a little bit of perspective, I think.
I also remember the show having like really good character designs. Like I think each character had multiple like very detailed outfits, which is always a nice change of pace in anime. So
yeah. And in that sense, it is like very much the same as, you know, Shirobako, which most people are more familiar with. You know, the characters look like they could be right out of the same show.
Yep.
The style is identical. Which I don't know, some people might not like that. I think I like it just because I like that style. And that comes with like Shirobako, the like full range of clothing for everyone. It's just nice little details.
Everyone looks great.
Yeah.
And like lastly, I'd just like to mention, like, everyone's been, at least I've been seeing a lot of people talking this season about Dorohedoro.
Yeah.
And about how the themes of that song are, like, the themes of the show are really good. So if you do really end up liking No Name, they also did the OST of Sakura Quest, both the OPs
did they?
and EDs. Plus all of it. So they have a couple of insert songs in there, but they also did just the general songs in the show.
Oh,
that's gotten a lot of praise, so that's very high praise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a good plug.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on, and thanks for sharing that with us.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks.
Of course.
Have a good night.
Yeah, talk to you soon.
Same to you guys. See ya.
All right.
Just remember the chupacabra scene from that. It's been a while.
Yes, I did forget about the chupacabra until you just mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fun show. I've seen just a weird amount of vitriol towards it. I've never really understood why. It's not one of my favorites or anything, but I definitely think it did everything it wanted to, and it did it pretty well.
You know, like sometimes you have those good like seasonal shows that are just fun to watch and you pick up and they're a good time. And then sometimes I think people just wanted it to be Shirobako too, and it's not. So
yeah, that's true.
What can you do?
Well, all right. Who's up next?
We got CrayonsLF.
Nice.
Super excited for his pick. It is a show that he's talked about a lot, so I'm excited to hear from him. Block, you are on the air. How you doing?
Hi, Cha. How are you doing?
We can barely hear you, but we can somewhat hear you.
I will turn this volume up a little bit.
How about now?
Yeah.
A little bit better. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds a bit better.
Cool. So what have we got
now
today?
It's clear?
Yep.
I'm going to talk about Gochiusa. You might know that I'm quite a fan of.
Yeah.
I actually know like basically nothing about this show.
Well, that's not surprising really due to the nature of the show. Hello?
Yep. I got you.
Yep, we can hear you.
Sorry, it's because I don't hear much responses.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. Just tell us about it.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, not gonna lie, I'm really nervous. I haven't been here since forever.
Oh, no, don't be nervous. Thanks for coming on. We're just excited to talk with you.
Yeah. Well, okay. Where to start? Well, Gochiusa is from the publisher Kirara. Do you know it?
I don't.
Well, it is very famous for being the hub for cute girls doing cute things. It has done K-On!, Hidamari Skate, Yuru Camp. Almost every cute girls anime has been adapted from a Kirara manga.
Okay. When is
so,
when is Gochiusa from? Is it an older one?
Not really. It is from post 2010s.
Oh, okay, got it.
2012, 13?
Got it.
Yeah, the manga it is from 2012, I think. The show itself debuted in 2014.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
it's from the post K-On! Era.
Yeah.
Cool.
There is actually in 4chan there is this chart that lists the Blu-ray sales from each Kirara show, and K-On! Has its own tier because it's God tier.
Right.
It has its own tier.
Yes.
And after
Needs
that,
no
I think that
recommendation.
after that, Gochiusa is I think the biggest Kirara franchise.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't really see it here in the West, but in Japan, Gochusa is actually really big. I
Mm-hmm.
heard that when the second season aired, train stations, Akihabara, many cafes were Gochusa themed. It was really big at the time.
So why do you think then that something like K-On! Obviously has very universal appeal, but Gochiusa hasn't caught on as much in the West?
Well, when they ask me which one do I think is better, I actually answer K-On!
Mm-hmm.
Because how to say it can properly and it's great. I also think it's one of my favorite ever. But if you ask me personally, which one do I like more, I will say Gochiusa, and that is simply because I think that its value emotionally is more to me than K-On!
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like K-On! Is indeed a very well written show. It has great art, and now Koyamada gives a great message. While Gochiusa is just cute girls doing cute things and nothing really much. But I believe that Gochiusa is like a Hero Academia that it does the generic very right and makes it stand out from the others.
That's cool because there are so many shows in that genre. There's basically like a new one almost every season. I think there are definitely a lot of people who are really into cute girls doing cute things and will watch every one that comes out. But for the people who aren't just like that invested in the genre, I think it can be hard to distinguish between them and decide like which ones are worth picking up and which ones aren't. These people they like the genre, but there are so many of them that they're not going to get to everything. So to someone like that, what would you say about like why they should pick up specifically Gochiusa as opposed to any other cute girl doing cute things?
Well, from the community that I also try all the traditional more tomorrow than very generic and unappealing and boring. It is often called budget Gochiusa. Me say type jokes, but it simply doesn't land.
Mm-hmm.
And well, to talk, I would start first with the normal synopsis. The Quarrelcon plot is that a girl, Cocoa, new town, and to live in a cafe named Rob. There she meets China, who is the granddaughter of the owner. She is from first sight she is a lonely and shy girl, and Cocoa, who is now living with her, makes her mission to become someone worthy of being called her big sister or Onichan. Well, that's how it starts, and the rest is just random shenanigans between her and other characters that she meets. Well, it doesn't sound like nothing revolutionary, right? But I think that Gochiusa enhances its ambient and emotion through many aspects like art style, music, its humor, and the way it uses its characters.
Yeah, awesome. It's
So
shows like
have you
that.
ever seen?
Oh, go ahead.
Continue.
Have you seen what?
Excuse me, you're cutting.
Sorry, have I ever seen what?
Have you ever seen what?
I think we're cutting off.
I think we're cutting off. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say I like the Gochiusa anime designs are very cute, which feels very redundant for cute girls doing cute things anime. But I think it actually does really emphasize that moe design that makes it stand out from other, normal cute girls. And I do remember that I think the first season's ending theme song is like notorious for being the cutest ending you've ever seen. Like pure diabetes-inducing cuteness. Like they even meme it with like funny subtitles with like, oh, it's like the end of the world or something, just because it's so cute. And it's like they make like a funny meme edit. But oh yeah, go ahead.
What I was going to ask is, have you seen any background art or any screenshot about it without the characters?
I haven't.
I don't think so. No.
Well,
no, I just really know the ending theme.
Something that really attracts me is its background art. Its setting is based on a timber town named Colmar in France.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it does look very like European.
Yeah, all of its setting, it is inspired by famous European, like the typical thermal bath is held on a famous bathhouse in Hungary. I forgot how it is called, but it is gorgeous. It is a regular thermal bath, but the art is gorgeous. It's really pretty to see.
That's cool. I always love when you can see like the albums of like real world locations next to like screenshots of anime that are very clearly inspired by them. That always adds like a little extra something to the enjoyment.
Yeah, I have in a rewatch. I always try to hunt down the places that it inspired a certain place. There were libraries, a school, a store. It's really pretty to see, really.
That's awesome.
That's something that enhances the feeling that I feel for it.
Nice.
That along with the music, the style that Sha says that it is really colorful, very shiny, flashy. It is just a show that really makes me happy. And I remember that in one of the rewatches that I was doing, I left the door open. My mom saw my face, and she was like, "Why are you in?" Like, I'm just watching something. Like, it is not even the funniest thing I have ever seen, but it is just enough to make you smile, to have a small giggle.
That's awesome.
That's
something we need
just
more
very warm and fluffy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you for sharing that with us, and thanks for coming on. You did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, we'll talk to you again soon.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah. See ya.
You know, what's really cool is that it's also licensed by Sentai, but is on Crunchyroll, so very accessible. Sentai Squad represent.
We got the 1 out of 2 with the sponsor gauntlet.
We got it. We got the 1. So
awesome.
So that's a cool one. I always actually wanted to see that one because it felt like one of the few like cute girls doing cute things shows where the girls are actually excessively cute. You can see them being excessively cute. So that's always a good one.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Shall we bring in our next guest?
On to the next one. So we got Crawk. And hi, Crawk. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Hello.
Okay. So
lay it on us. What do you have to recommend for us tonight?
So my recommendation for everybody to check out is Juuni Taisen.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Zodiac War.
Let's go.
So Juuni Taisen is really interesting in the way that it masquerades itself as a battle royale. And I feel that it was and often dismissed just because of its sort of quirky nature. When we go into watching battle royale anime-esque story setups like Fate or what have you, you kind of expect that there's just going to be a whole lot of action, a lot of thrills. You're just going to constantly pedal to the metal, right?
Right.
But Juuni Taisen takes a slow burn. Each episode is committed to a particular folk character, and they go through the backstory of each of them. they I want to describe this.
You have it so far. That's a pretty good good summary of the Juuni Taisen nature so far.
But it's so what some audience members, or people who've watched the series, when I take a look through the comment section, it's often noted that it's very predictable how the character is going to die. It's written in the episode title, or even displayed in the ending theme,
right?
In the order in which they are going to be, offed. But I feel like that a lot of people miss the point of what Juuni Taisen is, and it's more a character study than it is a plot-driven narrative, because you don't have a centralized lens, where so a lot of the characters the camera will shift perspectives often. It isn't centralized on any one character as the protagonist, so to speak.
Yeah.
And immediately as soon as a character is killed off, you pick up on whoever had killed them, or it shifts to another character, and it's really just an examination of how these characters view the war, or view conflict, or life in general. So the general synopsis of this is that you have 12 representatives that are analogous to the Chinese zodiac and are pitted to fight against each other in a vacated city. A lot of the world building is left vague at large. There seems to be, a larger organization that is pulling the strings or forcing them to do this, and that's fine. It sets up the premise well enough that you can kind of fill in the blanks with your own interpretations.
Right. So something you were saying about the structure is off-putting to people. Do you, Juuni Taisen, obviously we on this pod love.
Yes.
Do you know the full story behind its creation? Like why it's structured the way that it is?
Why it's structured the way that it is?
Yeah.
I've used some of the light novels. And so an interesting fact about this particular series is that Nisio Isen, the author of Juuni Taisen, is also the author of Bakemonogatari, or the Monogatari series, as well as Katanagatari. Right.
And
you
a
can see a
million
lot
other things, because he publishes like a light novel every month.
Crazy. Shout out to Kamachi. So yeah, if you take a look at his other works, all of them are relatively they're very similar in that they focus on character studies and they do a plot. Bakemonogatari has a particular heroine for each arc. Katanagatari focuses on an individual holder of the sword, and it's not really necessary to have them reintroduced later on in the series. You kind of have their one shot at portraying themselves, and to be satisfied with moving on.
So here's a fun fact about Juuni Taisen for you then, is that the series originated as a one-shot manga that Nisio wrote called "The One Wish That Must Be Granted and the 99 that can be done without," or something like that.
Yes.
Nice title.
Yeah. That one-shot manga is the last episode of the anime.
Yes.
Interesting. That makes sense.
And everything that came before it was written to be a prequel for this one-shot, which is such a bizarre reversal.
Yes. To show your ending before you've told everything else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's why it is presented in such like a strange yet straightforward way. That every character for most of the show dies at the end of the episode where they are featured. Which the first time you realize that, it might be like a disappointing thing to understand, because suddenly you know what's going to happen. But if you're familiar with the mythology and the story of the Chinese zodiac, then you should already know that they are dying in the order of the zodiac and who wins the zodiac race.
Yes.
And it's all leading up to like the decision that the rat has to make at the end. It's such a strangely unique experience, especially within the battle royale genre, which is often kind of samey in its presentation. You know, I feel like a good battle royale, you have like a group of characters who are good guys, a group of characters who are bad guys, and some who are kind of like morally ambiguous, who will go to one side or the other over the course of the story. And you know that one of the good guys will end up fighting one of the bad guys at the end. Yep. And in a good battle royale, often you won't know which one of each category it will be, but that's going to be how it is. In Juuni Taisen, that whole structure is thrown completely out the window for an entirely different kind of story that's just framed within a battle royale that's happening as a background. It's really cool, and exactly the sort of weird, subversive narrative trick that Nisio loves to do. Yeah, and we obviously love it. It's a very interesting experience. I think it's definitely worth watching.
I feel that during its run, not a lot of people gave it fair credit to see it all the way through to the end, because by like the third episode, you can kind of understand who dies and in what order, right? But I don't think that that's what the show direction intent. That's not the point of the show direction. Again, just to focus on those interesting characters and their backstories and how they view, the world and conflict. Yeah.
And I will say, for the record, that not all of the characters are winners. The snakes kind of suck.
Oh yeah, they sucked, but it was fine.
But most of them are pretty good. The monkey is amazing.
Saru, Tora.
Basically because she's just Hanekawa. But love her regardless. I was a big fan of the horse. That's kind of my out there pick.
Twists, they have some twists that you don't really expect. Like I think
that is true.
Part of the vibe is like you think first you're not sure what's going to happen, then you think you know what's going to happen, and sometimes you're right, but then sometimes you're not right. They throw some nice twists at you to keep things fresh.
It's a fun time, and
it's a fun time.
A classic podcast meme.
Classic podcast
meme. Can you elaborate on the sort of history that this particular series has had?
It's a good question, and we don't really have a good answer. But it was essentially...
If Maz was here, he could explain it, because
I think the general gist of it is one of... Oh, I was actually on... Yeah, I think I was even on the seasonal one. We talked about it, because it came out back in 2017, but it was just this one show that, as you mentioned, a lot of people were kind of clowning on it for being, like...
Predictable.
Or, I guess kind of schlocky, but, like, it wasn't even that violent, They were just kind of clowning on it as, like, your general... kind of generic seasonal. And Maz really loved it. And like everyone else who was on the podcast with him gave it like a 5 or a 6. And then Maz gave it a 9, and it was like his anime of the season. So that kind of, so we just kept calling something like, this was the Juuni Taisen of something. So it's become a title of like praise and criticism at the same time.
Yeah, gotcha. I definitely still feel like it's just really underrated. And I feel that, and I attributed some problems or why it was not as critically receptive in its season running. We were definitely in that era where Fortnite was like recently released or getting like
it was the year of the battle royale.
Right. So of course you feel like, oh, it seems like the opportune time to produce an anime that is, a battle royale and expect for it to do really, really well.
Was Magical Girl Raising Project also airing at the same time? It was around. It was more than a couple seasons apart.
I think that was the season before. This, for context, this was the same season as Hoseki no Kuni, Inuyashiki. Sangatsu season 3, Girls Last Tour. Those were like the bigger shows of that season. Osama Game, much worse. Battle Royale, not good.
Yes, but there were definitely a lot of battle royales happening at the time.
Yes,
and also to like, because Nisio Insen is a really, a progenitor of a lot of popular series. If not the most popular series of the 2010s, early 2010s. Right, so Bakemonogatari, right?
Yeah, Bakemonogatari was 2009, but most of the series obviously came out during the 2010s.
All of them got a release, an animated adaptation, all of his novels. And it's kind of troubling to me to see the disparity between his other lesser-known works, like Katanagatari or, even this, and not see the amount of acclaim that it gets. I can kind of attribute it to, less waifu-esque material, or less... In the episode format, it's just 12 episodes, so you don't have a lot of time to, get invested in these characters. So if you see a reason to, share it or create anything else from them, because there's no more room to grow because all the characters, have died.
Maybe we will eventually get an adaptation of the Juuni Taisen sequel, where the 12 Chinese zodiacs fight the Western zodiacs. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds fun, actually.
It does sound neat.
So Fate Apocrypha.
Right.
Yeah, Juuni Apocrypha.
Juuni Apocrypha. Yeah.
Best crossovers.
Awesome.
We obviously should have saved this entry for last because we've probably peaked with the best entry to recommend people, but
Dang.
if you listen to this podcast on the regular and you haven't watched Juuni Taisen yet, then what are you doing?
Yes, you gotta just watch Juuni Taisen. It's fun. You have nothing else to do.
It's fun. It's
We've
good.
established
You'll
that.
like it.
It's fun. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Of course. Have a good night.
Good night.
Well,
I'm so glad we got a Juuni Taisen.
But the best part is that he didn't know it was our meme.
Yeah.
He genuinely liked Juuni Taisen.
That's awesome.
This is amazing. Yeah. I mean, that was pretty great. So I don't know what else we can do from here. I know we have more great entries, but
we've got
that was very on brand.
Whoever's next is going to have some big shoes to fill.
Well, we have Jackers coming, and he has a pretty good show. I think you've seen it, but I have not.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Yeah. Hello, welcome to our show. Jackers, thank you for joining us.
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for
Pretty
joining
good.
us.
What
We're
have you got
excited
for
to
us?
hear from you.
First of all, Mike's good, no problems.
Yeah, you
Sounds
great.
perfect.
All right, sounds good. Well, I decided to jump in with a series that I haven't seen in a bit, but honestly, still the impact it's remained with me for a couple of years. So the Eccentric family is the one that I'm going to jump on.
Ooh.
Cool. Go for it.
So I guess when the recommendations post was going down, I was kind of thinking there's a lot of fantastic series that are being gone through here. A lot of them have fantastic characters and lavish production values and really inspiring themes. And so I kind of felt like I had to introduce a bit of spice into the title, where it's just when you thought your balancing of life and relationships couldn't get any more hectic, and your crush decides to join the club that literally cooked and ate your father. So it had to. So just in general,
any plot synopsis of Eccentric Family sounds so much darker than the show actually is.
Oh yeah, no, because it's such a hard one to recommend, and it's just you have to go into this incredibly vague set that tries to get their interest. Otherwise, you're not really going to be able to find much success in trying to get them to watch it, which is really tragic.
Right.
But essentially, so it's based on a set of novels that had the same author as the Tatami Galaxy, and two more recent films, Night of Short Walk on Girl and Penguin Highway, and it was done by PA Works. 24 episodes, with the first season coming out in 2013 and the second season coming out in 2017. And so it ends up following a family of tanuki, which are shapeshifters in Japanese lore, tengu, who are these flying demigods with powers over the wind and everything else, but also regular people taking place in Kyoto, and just quote-unquote regular happenings going through their life. And it follows this family.
It does, if I can interject real quick, it does canonically take place in the same universe as the Tatami Galaxy.
Interesting.
There are characters who appear in both series.
Oh, damn. Oh, the Tatami Galaxy and Night is Short?
Yeah. Night is
yeah.
Short obviously isn't the same, but the old guy with the party boat in Night is Short is also in Eccentric Family.
Oh man, that was him.
Yeah, that was him.
Damn, I thought it was just the director of The Sons that definitely throws his, because he's done Blue Over the Wall, and he brings characters in through Tatami Galaxy, and he always decides to cross-reference all of his works together. So it's honestly fantastic. But essentially, back to the show. So following this family of 5, And so it's a mother and her 4 sons. And so basically the gist of it is that the oldest son is trying to take after his late father, who is a legendary figure in this Tanuki community, since all the 3 general ones are kind of intersected, but only sometimes come into contact. The youngest is kind of an engineer, but he's still sort of figuring things out because he's the youngest. And the 2 middle brothers, one who's, for reasons that we would get to later, who is just stuck as a frog in a well for various reasons.
He's the best brother.
He has got Electric Brandy is his favorite, by the way. Mm-hmm. But the character that we follow the most throughout the series is the other middle brother, who is Yasaburo, and so he's a very rambunctious, carefree guy who has a talent of getting himself in more trouble than the rest of his family. And so basically, like, a general synopsis of what happens through the show is that Kyoto has been populated by these groups of Tanuki and Tengu and people for, like, since time immemorial. And they've been living alongside humans who have just been oblivious for their existence, well, for reasons. I mean, they can shapeshift and they can fly in the air, but it's anime, so, you know, we can honestly just give this a pass.
Sure.
But behind the peace and tranquility, there's a painful memory of the family, considering that their father, who used to be the head of the Tanuki community, was killed and eaten by a group of humans known as the Friday Fellows. And so it follows their trials through the show, and as the brothers just go through their daily life to struggle to avoid their own death in being eaten by these fellow people and trying to stay out of as much trouble as possible, which honestly, it finds them regardless. And it's just honestly really, and it's more of a character drama as much. You can also give it a slice of life, considering that there's a lot of bombastic moments that are few and far between, but what always gets me coming back to this show is the characters, especially just the family bond that we have in between the 5 that we get, and the mother who's essentially trying to keep her sons out of trouble, but because of essentially the state of their family, like through the majority of the events that goes through, it's just that they always get fined and they can't just be left alone, and it's always a trial to try and get themselves out of trouble. And it's also so through the social connections between, you know, Yasaburo and the other people, as well as the Tengu, that just makes this such an enjoyable, fun, and hectic and kinetic show to watch. Like, you just cannot put it down.
Do you think whimsical is a good word to describe it?
Definitely, yeah. PA Works did a really good job on essentially just making Kyoto such an inviting and lived-in town, as well as just like the backgrounds and the environments that they were able to do. It's not as much of the same style that they've done like with the other shows like previous, like Sakura Quest or from Hanasaka Iroha or from Shirobako. Like, it has this very pastelish, not really comic book.
It's a very
unique,
very unique look. Beautiful backgrounds, like beautiful, intensely detailed backgrounds, and then kind of like, what's the word I want to look for? The character designs are not anywhere near as much detail.
They're not normal. They're not
a lot more simplistic or something.
Yeah, they're very simple characters. The shape of their faces is so
isometric.
Yeah.
Very unique.
It's good. It's a strange thing.
Yeah, it's very simple, but it's very catching and unique, and it's always something that if it's able to catch your eye with the various styles that we're able to see season by season, like even since it's come out in the early to late 2010s, like it was still something that could like catch anybody at that point. But yeah, it's just like I said, like basically all of the social connections that Yasaburo has in between the human community, the Tengu community, and his own family, like his teacher who used to be a Tengu, but now he's unable to fly, so he's just this old, crotchety old man that he literally has to take care of under obligation, even though, like, you know deep down that they actually care for each other, and it's like this teacher-student sort of mentality. Except there's also still, like I said, the trouble before, conflicting bits with their other side of the family, like their late father's brother who's trying to take over this power vacuum now that he's gone within the Tanuki community, and that the oldest brother is trying to take after his footsteps to try and keep him from doing that, because he's not the most stand-up guy. For as good of a man as their father was, his brother didn't necessarily take after him that well.
Another thing that I really appreciate about this series is how deeply and closely it works with like Japanese folklore. And I always find it really interesting and exciting when a series delves into that, because it's just not something that we in the West ever have the chance to familiarize ourselves with. And the Eccentric family presents these like folklore creatures and like Buddhist elements in such a matter of the fact way that makes and weaves them into the world in a way that they feel natural. And it's so exciting to see those be presented at face value so that you can interpret them how you wish. And the mysticism in it is fascinating. Like there's one moment, I think it's in the second season, that sticks with me as like an incredible image where one of the characters curses another by like just like holding their fingers up into the sky and like putting them around the moon. Like people like take pictures of themselves holding up the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and then like plucks the moon down from the sky. And
Ben 10.
Yeah. And then
Ben
from the like that point on, the character who is cursed, like there's like no light at night because the moon has been like removed from the sky for them. It's
That's awesome.
It's amazing. It just looks so cool.
Ben 10, who is the character that does that, just she's such an enigmatic character, like somebody like Haruharu Haruko or Fujiko Mine, like she has that kind of presence.
Definitely.
And every single member of the community not either fears her, or respects her, or just completely is infatuated. And there's such just a broad and diverse set of characters that like everybody would be able to find somebody to love. And so I just wanted to give people another opportunity to catch up on the show and hopefully give it a chance, which a lot of Masaki Yuasa's and work in previous adaptations don't really get as much either. But yeah, that's about
I
it.
definitely wanted to watch it for a while, and like hearing about this is so tough because I want to just like watch it immediately, but I have so many other shows to watch. But I saw the openings a while back and was completely sold on it conceptually and like aesthetically. So I mean, you got my vote on it. It's just a matter of hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. I guess all of us now have a good enough time to jump on our large and accumulating backlogs.
Exactly.
Oh man, well, good a time as any.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, thank you so much. Great show.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you bringing me on here. Thanks.
Thanks for coming on. Have a good one.
Cheers, you too.
Cheers.
All right.
Oh, I want to watch that now. It's so sad. Well, it's not sad, but I can watch it in an hour. But it's such a really good job selling that show. Yeah. I know we have a lot of fans of that. So, yeah. But we have probably a more obscure show upcoming. Up until now, I think most of the shows we've recommended have either been on High Dive or Crunchyroll. I don't know if these ones are. I will check. But in the meantime, let us bring on Saro. And bring him on to share his recommendation with us. Hey, Saro, thank you for joining us. You are on live with us. How are you doing?
Well, girls, can you hear me?
I can.
Yes, we can.
It's a bit fuzzy, but we can hear you.
Okay. My mic is pretty bad.
No, it's okay. It gives us the authentic radio feel.
Thank you. So, how is it going? I actually, this is my first time with you recording anything, so...
Yeah, I was gonna say, as much as...
As
long as you've been on the Discord, I don't think I'd ever heard your voice before. So thanks for coming.
2 shows instead of 1.
Okay.
Well, I didn't really break the rule because they go together. If you watch the first one, you kinda want to watch the second one, and I think you can't watch the second one without the first. Of course, there are some people who disagree with that. So the first show is Yami to Boushi to Hon no Tabibito. I don't know if it's licensed or
About to find out in 2 seconds.
What's the official translation? The actual translation is Darkness, Hat, and Travelers of the Books. So,
okay.
Interesting.
The premise of the show, well, it's on my anime list. So they probably have better description than me.
This is the first one we've gotten tonight that I have not heard of.
Yeah, this one looks
How have you
interesting.
not heard of it? I'm talking about it for like a year at this.
I've heard of the other one that you're gonna mention more than I've heard about this one.
Okay, so the thing about Yami Boushi is it's about a girl who is in love with her sister. Okay, yes, it sounds weird, but
Okay.
it's gonna get weirder. So
All right,
her
let's hear it.
sister- So her sister disappears on the birthday, and the girl goes to find her. She follows her through a magical green light and is transported to some place called Great Library, from where she uses books and travels to various stories in order to find his sister. So,
Okay.
the show has that eerie, mystical feeling
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that I haven't really seen in many other shows. Like, I think I watched quite a lot, and there's not a lot of shows. It's quite it's confusing first. The cuts, especially in the first episodes, are very weird. You don't especially know what's going on if you didn't read the premise or if you didn't hear it. You can get confused. It clears up later. It becomes kind of episodic for some time, and then in the end, it's just fucking bonkers. I honestly don't think I understood it all by the end, but.
Was it something you rewatched a couple of times in order to wrap your head around it, or?
I didn't rewatch it yet. In fact, I did rewatch the first episode not that long ago, so I'll probably continue with my rewatch at some point.
Cool. It does sound very, very unique. Without having seen it myself, obviously, I feel like I already know what you're talking about.
I don't even know how to explain it without spoiling it.
Yeah.
I don't. First, I don't really know many shows that work where there are stories within a story.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I can think of that seasonal from a year or so ago, called Pastel Memories. I watched that. I didn't really like that. I don't think many people know.
Many people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me
Not
of
one
Princess
that has
Tutu.
stuck in people's memories.
Yeah.
But this and nothing else, basically. So it's a unique concept, and if you think you're into this concept and don't mind your occasional fan service, mindfuckery, psychological stuff, and everything like that, you probably could give it a try.
We stand a unique concept.
We do.
But this wasn't even my main recommendation.
Yeah, so what's the other?
This is only the prequel recommendation.
Not really the prequel, but the prerequisite.
Yeah.
The other show that I want to recommend is one of my favorite shows ever, and it's called Touka Gettan. It takes place in the same multiverse as Yami Boushi, so why I say Yami Boushi is a prerequisite because characters from that appear in Touka Gettan in one of the episodes. So Touka Gettan is basically a story within Yami Boushi.
Oh, that's
whoa.
cool. I like that.
But most of Touka Gettan's plot revolves within itself, so it's not deeply connected, but there are things that connect it. Just more than occasional appearance of the characters. I'll get to the things later. So, first thing everyone should know about Touka Gettan is that it aired in reverse chronological order.
Oh, we love
And-
that.
We love that for
And
us.
it's probably the only show like that, or at least the only one I know of. And the thing about me is that I love mysteries. I like to think. I like to connect the dots between things while watching it. So if something is shown in non-chronological order, it can easily get me interested. So,
Yeah, definitely.
it's not the main selling point of the show, but
It's a nice quirk about it.
Yeah.
it's not just there to confuse you.
Right.
Yeah.
When
Actually,
some
it
people,
actually makes sense.
some people, when a
it
show
actually-
does stuff like that, that is like a put off for them, making it
It's like a gimmicky thing.
right. But I tend to think if a show is doing stuff with its timeline, there is probably a reason for it.
Especially in a mystery series.
Yeah, exactly. I like to give those kinds of shows the benefit of the doubt, and it's rare that I am burned for that reason. Usually, if a show is just doing it as a gimmick, you'll be able to tell because the rest of the show will be bad anyway.
Yeah.
Reminder, Osama Game has some non-chronological stuff in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Osama Game. But yeah, my favorite show of all time is Monogatari series.
Yes, same.
Yeah.
And, well...
Yeah, we're on the same page here.
So another thing about Touka Gettan is that it's actually the first main role of Saori Hayami. Maybe even her first actual role in anime, I don't know. It's spring 2007.
Oh,
It's still quite old.
that is cool.
But the thing about Touka Gettan is basically a story where you're given the end and you don't understand anything. Then
Nice.
slowly it like shows itself and you realize why those things happened, who are those characters, and why exactly the show's told in this order.
Yeah, I love shows that do that kind of thing. It's very like another one of my favorite series, Kara no Kyokai. It's not reverse chronological, but there is a lot of jumping around, and a lot of the same thing is about figuring out, okay, what have I already seen? Why did that happen?
Yeah.
I love Kara no Kyokai.
I know.
It's awesome. And the other things about Touka Gettan is that if you think about it for a bit, it's a thematical counterpart to Yamato Boushi. Like, without going deep into it, Yamato Boushi is about reading books and going through them, and Touka Gettan is about writing a book. So I don't think, like, it just occurred to me suddenly after I watched both of those, how deeply they are connected and how well they go together. Why you can't watch one without the other because you won't get the full picture. And in that sense, it's kind of a meta show. So episode 25 is the only one shown in real order. So
Nice.
the order is 26, 24, 23, etc. 4, 3, 2, 25, 1.
Yeah. Are the two shows where they like by the same author or the same studio, or what's the production story behind them being connected like that?
The actual thing is that they're both adaptations of visual novels, and they're the same people behind.
I see. Okay.
And there are other themes in Touka Gettan that are basically reversed from normal. Like in normal series, like when you have a romance and you have a guy and a tsundere girl. No, here the guy is the tsundere. So it's like fun is a small detail, but I think it all adds up, and there is a lot of things like this.
Cool. Yeah, this does sound like I'm very, very intrigued by the connection between the two. The idea of Touka Gettan being one of the stories within this other story is like I can't honestly say I can think of like any other pair of shows, whether anime or otherwise, that I know of that do a similar thing.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other stuff that I like, and like not just in that anime, but in a lot of things. Like there is Japanese wordplay. There's an episode that's almost fully in black and white.
Uh-huh.
Very quirky.
Okay, this will be a spoiler, like a big spoiler, but I think the last line said in the show just makes everything worth it.
Cool.
The last line sounds like there is not much time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's big enough to work, but makes it interesting and sounds
Yeah.
nice.
Please watch this from my guy Yuji Yamaguchi. He was the director of both shows. He died a few months ago.
Oh, that's sad.
All right. You have definitely convinced me to check this out.
I hope you like it.
Yeah.
Most people actually don't. They both have like 6.5 mean score on my anime list. It's quite sad. Also, shout out to Roger Smith 2004. He convinced me, well, not convinced me, he talked about those shows and made me check them out.
Nice. Big shout out to Roger
So
Smith.
passing along the recommendation tree. That's cool.
Nice. We like it.
Pay it forward.
Well, yeah. Well, that was really intriguing and interesting. So I'm glad you came on and shared that with us. I doubt many people have heard of those. So I know me and Sinris will check it out, but I hope other people feel inclined to check it out. We will probably post all of the shows discussed in the description or with timestamps, so people can look it up on my anime list or any list just to, identify it and then see how they can watch it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Saro.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye. That was nice. I've legitimately never heard of those shows.
I have seen him talking about Touka Gettan. I didn't recognize the name of the other one.
Yeah, I just heard it from him. Like,
Right.
I've never seen them outside of his recommendations. So that was pretty cool to hear.
Cool. All
So,
right.
yeah.
We've got
Now
a couple more, right?
We have two more. So, next person that we got to add to the group is Delta. We got to see what he has for us.
Good old Delta.
Good old Delta. He has a JoJo-related nickname. So, we'll have to see what he has to recommend. Thank you for almost joining us, Delta. Please come back. Delta, please come back. Hopefully
no, video, no,
not like that.
Not like this. God damn it, the face reveal like this. Seriously?
Everyone, give it up for the Delta face reveal.
There we go.
Oh,
Perfect.
now we got Mini Jotaro. That's
yeah. You can have Shotaro now.
Shotaro. Is that what we're calling him? That's good. I like that.
That is nice.
Shotaro.
Yo, what up? It's your resident trap lover. It's Delta, the second coolest person on the Discord server. Here to talk about the second best anime of all time, Mob Psycho 100.
Oh, hell
that is
yeah.
Objective. So, Mob Psycho 100. That show, there is so much to say about Mob, to the point where it's kind of hard to figure out where to start, but I think the best place to start with Mob is the characters, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mob has a cast of colorful characters, very similar to, it's often compared to One Punch Man or Sekike, or various other shows that have these very colorful casts, but I think Mob Psycho stands out amongst the rest because for just the sheer volume and consistency in its characters. All of the characters in Mob feel very human and natural, while still being very wacky and over the top.
Yeah. I think I'd say like genuine is a word I would use to
that's a
describe
good word
them.
for it. Where all the characters in Mob develop very naturally and feel like real people. Where in most anime, people are very overly polite or very they feel very unnatural and like super either way too clean or way too unclean, like very stereotypical.
Yeah, very black or white.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas in Mob, all the characters are very interesting and complex. So, to actually get started on, it's best to explain the premise, I think. So, Mob is a show about a kid who is probably the most powerful psychic on the entire planet, and he is basically, he's a bit of a loser though. I feel bad for saying that, but he kind of is. He's not very strong.
How dare you?
He's not very popular. I know. I feel so terrible. I love Mob so much, and he's not very strong or fit or athletic. But Mob does his best to become more than his powers, which I think is a very interesting premise, where a lot of the time you see people like chosen ones, or especially like isekai protagonists, where they have like this special power or the chosen oneness, and they just accept that. They just say, oh, this is what makes me a good person, or this is what makes me above other people. Whereas Mob has that kind of power, but he chooses to work towards becoming more than it. The Mob himself is he's a great character, but what really accentuates Mob, and one of the greatest points in the show, is the fact that even with all of his power and how Mob really develops as a person, all of it is really thanks to his friends and such. Like, the Mob's friends are really what allows him to stay grounded and not become consumed by his power. Mob also has fantastic animation. I would say Mob Psycho has the best animation I've seen in the past decade, which is really high praise considering some of the other shows that with fantastic animation in the past little while. But I would say that Mob Psycho is really complemented by its art style and its animation. Like, Madhouse does it again. Was it Madhouse or was it Bones?
I think it's Bones.
Bones? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
We can say Madhouse did it again, though. That works.
Good job, Madhouse. Even when they don't animate it, Madhouse does fantastically.
Even when it wasn't Madhouse, I knew it was Madhouse. Yeah.
Yes.
It looks amazing.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't even know what I could compare it to.
It's kind of hard to compare because like there are a few shows that like sort of do the same sort of thing, but they're kind of like less known.
Right.
Like Izoken last season and then Scissor 7 from a while ago. Those two shows are very similar, where they have like a really wacky art style, and they go really ham on the animation thanks to its fluidity.
I'd say it's like Izoken is a pretty similar like base art style to Mob.
Yeah.
I would say, but like when Mob gets into the action scenes, the like looseness and simplicity of the way that it's drawn means that when things go to shit in the story, things can go wild in the art.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially to reflect like the psychology of certain characters. I was gonna say like psychiatric.
Yeah.
So,
I also think I want to echo what you were just saying about how Mob's like main conflict is between like himself and his powers. And there is like, yes, the element of like him trying to control them when he's not always capable of it, but that's kind of like, that's a theme we see not often but regularly enough that people are familiar with that kind of story. What I don't think I've seen anywhere else except for Mob is this idea that the main conflict, aside from the internal one where Mob doesn't want his powers, is that the villains are all people who have the same sort of powers that he does, but all he's really trying to do is not fight them, not stop them. He's just like trying to get people to see that isn't a big deal. Like, he doesn't think that having the powers of a god should be something that defines him or anybody. That it's not, there's no reason to see himself as better than anybody because he could like snap his fingers and make their heads explode. Yeah.
He's trying to
Like,
bring the humanity back to
Mob-
superheroes.
Mob is one
Exactly.
of those kind of one does a great job at that. Where Mob is like the kind of character where even though when I did describe the show, like one of the first things I described was his powers. Mob himself is the kind of character where, despite him being insanely powerful, Mob is a character that you describe using his own attributes. You don't talk about Mob as if the way you talk about Saitama.
Right.
Where Saitama is the most powerful thing ever, and that's like the first thing you talk about him. But with Mob, you talk about how he's just like a kid who just wants to become.
He's such a sweet boy.
He just wants to
make
grow
friends.
up.
Yeah.
And I love I like how a lot of Mob is kind of focusing on the emotional strength of the characters, because there's so many times where people talk about becoming strong and they mean physically strong, they want to be more powerful than other people, but Mob just really wants to have control over his emotions and grow into his own person, as you said.
Oh
So,
yeah.
nice to
Mob
highlight.
also does want to be physically strong.
He does. Yeah, he wants to be physically strong.
He
doesn't
wants
want
to be
be
fit.
like combatively strong.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's nice to focus on different types of strengths instead of just focusing on the typical type of, typical type of strength that we see in terms of powers and fighting each other.
Yeah, I think my favorite arc in the show is one like the middle of season 1, with Mob's brother Ritsu, and it revolves around the fact that like Mob is like he's a big dweebus, but he has hugely powerful psychic powers, whereas Ritsu has no psychic powers at all, but he's like cool and hot and popular, and like Mob idolizes Ritsu, wishes he could be like him in every way, whereas Ritsu is like intensely jealous of Mob's psychic power, and the idea that like there's this conflict between them because they both want what the other has and see what they have as worthless by comparison. It's such a powerful emotional disparity between the two of them.
Yeah, for sure. I've noticed that with like most of the main cast of Mob, and even most of the side characters, where everybody is missing something that somebody else has.
Yeah.
Even like, especially someone like Reagan, for instance. I don't know how we haven't talked about Reagan, but I'll keep this short.
I was wondering how long we'd go.
Reagan is a fantastic character. I was going to segue into him at some point, but Reagan is a fantastic mentor character. But in a way, Mob is also a mentor to Reagan in the same way that because the mentor character is just about what role they play in the story, where Reagan feels inadequate in both his abilities and morally. He feels like he's taking advantage of Mob and taking advantage of everybody who's supporting him because he doesn't think he's good enough. And Reagan's arc, both during the second season and across the entire show, is fantastic and really shows like a lot of the true core messages of the show throughout it. And there's not much more to say, honestly.
It's
fantastic.
It just is good.
It just is good. It's one
in
of those
everything
shows
it does.
It just works.
Where it just works. Much like King Crimson, it just works.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those shows where you don't get to it for a while. You're like, the art style, man, or maybe I'll watch this at some point. I don't know. I didn't like One Punch Man that much, but honestly, the thing about Mob is a show you just have to watch.
Yeah.
You just have to pick it up and watch it.
It's a
totally
very
agree.
accessible show too.
Very accessible. You can show it to basically anyone, and like who even like non-anime fans, and it's not like something you have to defend against a fan service or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, I did notice that because there's always sometimes like a catch when you have to recommend someone a show. Like oftentimes it's like this is a great show, but there is no but for Mob. You can show it to anyone. The dub is good. You can really show it to a lot of people, and you're pretty much set.
Totally true.
Yeah. Is that all?
I think it is, but our Discord wants me to remind you that win rate is not mid. Wrong.
I don't know. I never got the hype,
Bye,
She's
Delta.
okay. Yep, see. Now I'm being silenced. Gamers, rise up.
But genuinely, thank you for joining us, Delta. I had to do it. But yeah, that was a good recommendation. It's one that like, a lot of people have heard of Mob Psycho, but if they haven't seen it, just another reminder, go out and watch it. Stay in and watch it. Don't go
Stay,
outside.
yes,
Literally never
stay
leave your
exactly
house.
where you are.
Literally don't move. So I think we only have one more person left.
Okay,
This is
let's
it.
bring them on.
This is the last dance, the last Juuni Taisen.
It's been an honor serving with you.
It's been an honor serving with you too. So we have Melv joining us. How are you doing tonight?
No, you are muted.
You are muted, and I didn't do that.
Hello?
There we go.
Hi!
You're in.
Is it okay?
Yeah,
Is it all
You
right?
sound good.
Yeah, you sound good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right.
Yeah, it sounds good. How are you doing tonight?
Well, it's morning here, so.
Oh, good morning.
Oh.
Time zones,
Yeah.
gotta love them.
Yeah. What have you got for us?
Oh, I'm sorry this isn't Juuni Taisen, but
No, this is good.
Few things are.
This'll do.
it's airing at High Dive, so I
Wait,
guess
that's
good.
better. Wait, you got us. That's actually better. Yeah, this is so exciting. Our first high dive entry.
Great. What have we got?
So I'm gonna talk about Soredemo Machi wa Mawatteiru, and yet the town moves.
That's a good title.
And yet the town.
And
Yeah, that is
it's-
a very good title.
It's about this girl who's like he works for a maid cafe that isn't really a maid cafe because it's basically a cafe, but then the only thing regarding about it as a maid cafe is just they wear maid outfits and they sell coffee. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to really sell this show because it's basically slice of life.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, this
when
is
the
just
slice of
the-
life is just
The same thing we were talking about
It
earlier.
just shows that-
Slice of life shows are hard to sell.
They are.
it's really hard to sell, but like I guess what I can really talk about this show, it's a bit like Mitsubishi Colors,
Ah.
but
Okay, I haven't seen that one
But,
either, unfortunately.
they're older, they're high school students.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
What I really like the show is like they really flesh out the shopping district because they are in like this shopping district, and then you really get to know all the characters, like the one that the butcher, the
Mhm.
the laundry person, and like the vegetable grocer, and like you get to really know them because they come to the maid cafe a lot, and like it's actually a really interesting show. And one really interesting part of the show it's a slice of life, but it has some science fiction elements into it.
Okay.
Ooh.
Like apparently it won the Japanese science fiction award,
Oh, that's kind
and
of
like in 2016 as a manga. I mean,
All right. Interesting.
it's
This is taking a
it's
twist.
very interesting because it's a very interesting twist. I mean, like maybe you spend maybe 50% of the show, and like they're just talking about like what they have to do to improve the maid cafe because, well, it's a pretty bad maid cafe. It's a pretty
Yeah.
it's a bit embarrassing, but like so you spend half the time like just really having fun with these characters, and then like in one episode you'll just get thrown in like there'll be this time traveler, and like I don't want to spoil anything, but it gets really interesting.
Cool. Okay, but so even with the science fiction elements and the introduction of like a time traveler and everything, does it maintain the same sort of like chill slice of life atmosphere, or does it like pick up into, you know, a more
intense.
intense kind of story, or does it stay low key?
Well, it's a very quirky show.
Mhm.
So it's not it's quite low key, but like this show has like a lot of different. So it's animated by Chef.
Okay.
Like the 2010s like Chef, and like you get all your usual Chef stuff.
Yeah.
But
Shaftisms.
the Chefisms. But I guess you follow this character, which like
Hotori, and like he's really lovable. Like he really wants to help out, and like she also is like sort of like a maid. She wants to be a maid detective.
Okay.
She just and like a lot like some parts of this show is like you go into like a mystery and like a bit of a mystery show as well. And oh man, and I guess you just go through like it's a hard show to sell, but like it's just slice of life. But like you really get, I guess the main part of the show is like you have to watch it and like really enjoy like the characters.
So would it be like, is it like a comedic sort of slice of life? Is it like a school life sort of deal? Is it just like a doing cute things kind of show?
Really cute, but it's like it's very comedic slice of life.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so that makes sense. So kind of quirky, comedic slice of life taking place in a not so nice maid cafe with sci-fi elements.
Yeah, like sitcom-y.
By Round Table, so they did the OP for Aria.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, Maya Sakamoto does the opening. That's awesome.
Oh, Maya Sakamoto's great.
That's amazing.
And they have like a great opening and ending song, and like and I think the ending song is one of the best ending songs I've seen.
Nice.
Just because
that's awesome.
The voice cast is actually pretty interesting. You have like Omigawa Chiaki sing the main character, and then you have Aoi.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
And you have for Tatsuno, and like, and there's one character, there's one like voice actor that this is like her only main role before retiring, and that's a shame because I think she did a really good job.
You hate to see that.
You do.
That's always so sad when you go like check the Mal page for someone and you see they have one role.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I always assume they're either a live action actor or actress, or they just actually had one role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to hope they're having a very fulfilling career in another field.
She had like 3 roles and then retired when she was like 20 plus.
Okay. Hope she's doing well now wherever she is.
She's in our thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds really cool and quirky, and it is on High Dive, and yet the town moves. It looks like it's pretty cool. I would be interested to see how it retains some kind of Shaft elements, because the character designs don't look very Shafty, so to speak. But it sounds like a Shaft anime, you know?
Yeah,
it sounds like
definitely
it's got
sounds
that
like the
quirk
kind of
to
thing
it.
they'd have there.
Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Shaft animes, and like it's probably the least Shaft anime I can say.
Interesting.
Like it's not like Monogatari levels or Arakawa Under the Bridge levels.
Yeah.
They let the I like how Shaft let the source material speak for itself.
Yeah, it's always good to see, especially since it won awards.
Yeah, it won awards. I mean, the manga won awards, which is also on Crunchyroll.
Oh, that's
so you
good to
can,
know.
so you can watch like all of it.
Awesome.
And I guess, and like another quirky part about this show, and this show is really quirky. Like, it's non-chronological order as well.
Oh, another one.
Oh,
Cool.
that is interesting.
It's always especially weird when you get that in like a slice of life sort of deal, where, you know, the it's not so much about like mystery or conflict, just to make things kind of eccentric.
I mean, the manga creator and like even the manga is non-chronological, so like she wanted to make every chapter like by its own, so you don't need to go like this, like you don't need to read one chapter to get the other. It's very rare that the chapters are like connected.
I see. Okay.
In a way.
Yeah. So it kind of gave the author the freedom to just do whatever he wanted from chapter to chapter.
Yeah.
So like one episode you'll see like this, like the Hotori's little brother, and like she'll be like nice to one girl, but then in the next episode it's like they never met before. So it's a bit like
yeah.
It's not like a big selling point, but I thought it was interesting.
That is cool. And a good thing to know
Also,
for anyone going into it for the first time.
Like to say like a last part, I think like the final episode is one of the best episodes I've ever watched.
Nice.
Wow, that's high
And,
praise.
because it really like because maybe like the first 11 episodes is slice of life with some sci-fi elements, and like the final episode it kind of combines everything together and like hits you, and like it makes you like like you kind of miss the characters by the end, and like and it got me to read the manga.
Right.
Nice.
Very
Always
cool.
love to see that. Yeah, that's a really cool recommendation. That's an out there one, and it's a high dive homie, so it's come full circle.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
All right, and I think that that about wraps us up.
Yeah, we had a
For
lot
the
of
night,
good
right?
recommendations. Yeah. So, now we have a lot of shows to consider for this. I had a really good time talking to people. We had a lot of really good people coming in.
I agree. I think this went pretty well. We had been kind of up in the air about how we thought this would do, but I enjoyed this a lot.
Yeah. Do you
I
think
think
you have a show that you would prioritize the most after this?
Oh,
Because we
man.
did have a semi-bet.
We did have a semi-bet. Let me think about that. I think there were a couple, obviously, that I've already seen and am big fans of. I would say between the list that Space Brothers was already high up there. It's between Space Brothers, which was already one that I've wanted to watch and just needed a push to do so.
Historically
And
wanted to watch.
Historically wanted to watch. And Saro did a really good job of selling Touka Gettan, I think.
He did.
So I would put those two as the ones I would be most likely to go for next.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Those are high praise.
How about you?
Well, I haven't seen Eccentric Family, and I thought that was a really
That's
good
true.
sell.
Yeah.
Because it was also on my list along with like Space Brothers, so that was a great sell. But obviously I'm just gonna go back and watch Juuni Taisen because that's the only answer at this point.
Rewatch Juuni Taisen. Juuni
Yeah.
Taisen is the anime of the year every year because there's
It's
always
anime
a
of the
new
year
one.
every year. Like killed it every time. So yeah, it's just a matter of going back and rewatching Juuni Taisen. Reminds me that like literally 3 years ago I bought the Juuni Taisen Blu-ray to send to Maz for Christmas.
Oh yeah.
And I have not sent it to him. Like it's been literally 3 years. I think he's like not mad, but also mad. So
Okay.
I have nothing to do, so I have to send it to him. But is that like quarantine kosher? Is that a thing?
The mail is still happening, right? It must be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's fine.
Well, but if it's a package, you can't bring it to like a post office?
I don't know. That's the question.
You'll have to look
What do I
into
do?
this. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's gonna get to Maz one way or another.
The
Just,
one chance to bring it to Maz.
I'm gonna do a road trip to bring it to Maz, which is the exact opposite of what anyone should do. Do not leave your house. Yeah.
All right.
Well, this was a fun time. We're gonna probably do something similar to this next week, or at least in the upcoming weeks. Maybe we'll change the topic, but if you had a good time and you had fun listening and coming on, please sign up next time. Find our Discord link in the description to find out all the important information that we're going to post. Every time we post something on, Twitch or YouTube, we post in our Discord. So that's the best way to stay in tune to what we're doing.
Uh-huh.
Follow us on Twitter at Tokyo Podfathers, and, just come listen to us, come talk to us, and stay safe during quarantine.
Yeah, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane.
Fate, stay quarantined.
Yes, Fate, stay home.
Fate, stay home. Yeah.
All right.
And thank you for hosting this. You did a great job.
Thank you for helping me out. And thank you everyone for watching.
And of course, thank you, High Dive and Sentai
Filmworks. Naturally.
For
Goes
sponsoring
without
this. Check out High Dive because I think they have a free month of anime for everyone who signs up now. I think sign up and you get a free month. Go check out their catalog. They have good stuff. As we mentioned, they have, And the Town Moves. That's a cool title. If you search that one, it'll come up. I tried searching both the Japanese title and the English title, and the English title is the one that shows up.
Okay.
You also get
Good
Legend of the Galactic Heroes. That's another one.
The all-time goat.
Everyone wants to watch it. They never have time. Now they have time.
Yeah.
So
no excuses for anything. If
No
you
excuses.
have not finished your entire PTW by the time you're allowed back outside, then you've wasted your quarantine.
you're not a weeb. This is your time. You know, we literally have nowhere to go. So, you know, check out High Dive. Check out some of the Sentai stuff. You know, they sell some cool things. And check out our other podcasts and join our Discord for future Radio Thursdays.
Yeah.
That's not even remotely catchy, but, you know. Thank
All
you
right.
for everyone tuning in, and have a good night and stay safe.
Peace out, viewers.